Good morning. My name is Jed Byrne, and I'd like to thank you for considering my speech, a speech called The Return to Automation, for your event. I am really excited by the prospect of speaking at TedX St Albans. I'm still working on the speech, but what I'd like to do now is just take you through what the introduction currently looks like, and then a quick walkthrough of the outline of the rest of the speech. Here's the introduction. John Henry was a steel driving man. What does a steel driving man do? Well, when the American railroad cut its way across the countryside, they had to dig tunnels through huge mountains, and those tunnels were dug by steel driving men. Men who would take a steel drill and hit it hard with a hammer over and over again right the way through the mountain. And John Henry, he was a steel driving man. Some say that he picked that hammer up when he was just 4 days old, sat on his father's knee. Others say that when his hammer struck that steel, you could hear it ring for a mile and more. Oh yes, John Henry was a steel driving man. And then one day at work, the captain said, I'm going to bring that steel drill out, that steam drill out, and it's going to whop that steel down. Now, John Henry was a steel driving man, and he was not going to be replaced by a machine, not without a fight. This is why John Henry and the steam drill raced their way through a mountain to see who would win. Now, the man who invented that steam drill, he thought he was mighty fine, but John Henry had made 15 feet when the machine had only made 9. He was hitting that hammer so fast and so hard that he was striking fire. Can you imagine what that sounded like? Ringing out over and over again. Oh yes, John Henry was a steel driving man. The problem was that he was just a man, and a man ain't nothing but a man. His heart broke. He put down his hammer, knelt and died. To this day, he is immortalised in song as an American folk hero. John Henry was a victim to the first industrial revolution, and he wasn't the only one. Just north of here, in Nottingham, the Luddites rose up, picked up hammers and struck against the machines that had taken away their jobs. So many jobs were being lost at this time, but it was a whole movement, and the military were used to put the movement down. Those that were shot during protests were hung. The few survivors were exiled to the penal colonies. To this day, the term Luddite is used as a derogative term to anybody foolish enough to stand up against the progress of the machines. The Industrial Revolution. Do you remember the 2012 Olympics? The men with the big top hats and the chimneys that would come thrusting up out of the ground. This was a huge celebration of the Industrial Revolution, and now, in the 21st century, looking back, we have a lot to celebrate, thanks to the Industrial Revolution and the automation that it introduced. We enjoy a standard of living that couldn't even be imagined by kings and queens of just a few hundred years ago. Our life expectancy from birth has doubled thanks to the progress that has been made. But these were not easy times to live through. And when people's livelihood was endangered, it was tough for them. And this is relevant to us today because we stand on the brink of the next wave of the Industrial Revolution, a wave that brought about by the introduction of artificial intelligence, AI. Now the machines are not only digging holes and doing these kind of tasks, but starting to do things that we thought of as being uniquely human. Things that require intelligence and creativity, and now it seems no job is safe. The scientist Stephen Wolfram, back in March, asked a question. He said, will AI take away all of our jobs and end human history? That's a frightening question, and his answer was not reassuring. His short answer was, well, it's complicated. I don't find that a reassuring answer. I don't know about you, but the answer I would have liked to hear was no. Happily, there is cause for hope in his longer answer, where he asks another question. He says, what will it be like to live in this world of full automation, a world where everything is driven by AI and things just happen, and they happen for reasons that we can't always understand? And when he makes this observation, he says, this is a situation that is very familiar to us, because this is how we have always interacted with nature. That's my introduction. I'd look now to just take you briefly through what comes later. And in this speech, I'm really covering three topics, three ideas from artificial intelligence. The first is the alignment problem. The alignment problem is the idea that we must align the objectives of the machines with the objectives of humans. When it comes to our interactions with nature, there has always been an alignment problem. Back in prehistory, the objective of the saber-toothed tiger was to survive, and to survive, it needed to eat. The objective of our human ancestors was also to survive, and to survive they had to not be eaten by the saber-toothed tiger. Today, we still have that alignment problem with nature, with our own bodies. For example, I know that I must eat healthy, wholesome food, but my body really wants to eat burger and fries all the time, and it wants to eat them so much. The next concept is called Maravec's paradox. And this paradox is that the things that we humans find very difficult, things that we consider to be highly intelligent, like maths and chess, turned out to be not difficult problems for computers to solve. And the things that we humans find easy, things like sorting through a drawer or driving a car, these are problems that computers find very difficult. And what Maravec's paradox tells us is that humans and machines can complement each other very well. Up until now, the last few hundred years, there has been this constant drive to make the machines more and more like humans, and to make the humans behave more and more like machines. This needs to stop. What we need to do instead is find the way in which humans and machines can complement each other for the best possible outcome. The third idea is Kasparov's law. Garry Kasparov was the first grandmaster in chess to lose to a machine, to IBM's Deep Blue. And in his observations after that, during test tournaments where humans and machines would play together, he made an observation which was that while a human could not beat the best computer, the combination of human and computer could beat the best machine. And more interestingly than that, he found that a weak human player with a strong process and a machine could beat a strong player or a machine. So these are the ideas that I want to explore within the speech, and I'd like to thank you very much for considering me for inclusion in TEDx St Albans. Thank you very much.